In a joyous and peaceful kingdom, people gather to witness one of the most majestic moments. Marie, dressed in a wedding gown, walks up the stairs toward Kiros. They are about to be married, but truthfully, Marie was never meant to be the bride. It was supposed to be her older sister. Baron Sheridan has two daughters. The eldest, Anastasia, is cheerful, sociable, and golden-haired. She looks like a princess. In contrast, Marie, the younger daughter, is nothing like her sister. She is tall, often dirty, and acts more like a boy. She spends her days reading books and serving her family like a maid. Each morning, Marie wakes up in a small, dim hut where she lives alone. It's a place far from suitable for a lady. Because their family is poor, there's always work to be done. Marie can only afford a quick bath at the well near her hut before heading to the family's house to cook for them. After cooking and preparing the meals, her parents, along with Anastasia and their youngest brother Cedric, sit together at the well-lit dining table to eat their food. She, however, is left to eat the scraps alone in the dark, dirty kitchen, treated like an outcast in her own family. Even her father's work is passed on to her. At night, Marie balances the family's accounts and signs documents in his name, relying only on a dim lamp for light as the night grows dark. When she finally finishes, she takes a bath at the well and glances up the night sky. Tomorrow is her birthday, and all she wishes for is a good day. The following day, the Sheridan family hosts a grand banquet at their home. Nobles and royals fill the hall, and music plays with celebration. Anastasia looks stunning in her elegant gown, and Cedric compliments her beauty. Marie, standing off to the side in a plain, long dress and her unkempt hair, can only watch in silence. Suddenly, their father stands up to speak. He thanks everyone for coming and announces that Anastasia is the star of the night. At that moment, Marie looks down. Of course, this isn't a birthday celebration for her. It's a debut party meant to find Anastasia a suitor. Upset, Marie runs out of the hall, drawing everyone's attention. She walks quickly through the corridors until she reaches the garden. Sitting by the pond, she stares at her reflection in the water, feeling miserable for being born with such an unattractive face. Suddenly, a man's voice breaks the silence as he asks for directions. Marie quickly points toward the entrance. He mistakes her for a maid, but the maid accompanying him corrects him, saying the Sheridan family only employs one servant, a woman in her 60s. Realizing Marie must be one of the two daughters, the man politely asks for her forgiveness. Marie, noticing his attire, immediately recognizes he is from the Ipsandra's Republic. She even comments on the traditional formal wear he's wearing, surprising the man with her knowledge. Marie's knowledge of Ipsandrian traditions surprises him. It's rare for anyone outside his country to study their culture. But Marie insists that once someone explores Ipsandrian technology and culture, it's easy to become fascinated. Karas becomes even more intrigued and shares additional details about his formal clothing. Marie joins in, mentioning the tale of the Red Riding Cat, a famous story from Ipsandrian folklore. Their conversation flows naturally until Marie recalls her father's warning. A woman who flaunts her knowledge is shameful, so she lowers her head and apologizes for her behavior. Karas, however, doesn't understand why she's apologizing. Marie wants to explain, but before she can, she panics and tries to run. Karas gently grabs her hand to stop her, and when their eyes meet, Marie freezes. His face is flawless, and it hurts to know she could never match someone like him. Tears well up in her eyes. Karas apologizes again for mistaking her for a servant, but he can't stop thinking about her clothes. Something feels off. There must be a reason why someone like her is dressed like that. Marie simply says she is not lovely. That's why she wears such plain clothes. But before she can leave, Karas gently pulls her closer and tells her she's beautiful. As a response, she tells him where to find her sister, then quickly walks away in tears. She runs through the woods until she reaches her small house. There she finally breaks down. Even after hearing such kind words from someone like Karas, the sadness doesn't leave her. 1 month later, a letter of proposal arrives for Anastasia. It is from Count Granado, a nobleman expected to become a duke. Wealthy and well-connected, he seems like the perfect match in their father's eyes. Delighted, their father immediately tells Marie to write a formal reply and inform all relatives and nearby nobles of the engagement. In private, Anastasia confides in Marie about her unease. She's about to marry a man whose face she doesn't even remember. Worse, rumors claim Count Granado dislikes women. Marie, trying to stay positive, remarks that the letter at least sounded passionate. The mood lightens when they talk about clothes. Anastasia loves designing suits for women, and since Marie is tall, the outfits fit her well. She pulls a suit from her cabinet and makes Marie promise to keep it secret. Their parents once threw them all away after discovering her unusual interest. Marie is stunned to learn about her sister's hidden passion. If their family ever falls into poverty, she'll start a clothing business in the royal capital. She encourages Marie to do the same, nurture her talents, follow her dreams, and live for herself. Marie loves her sister deeply, and Anastasia loves her just as much. But Anastasia unexpectedly dies in a tragic accident on her way to meet Count Granado. All Marie can do now is hold onto the lessons her sister left behind. She remembers how Anastasia once written her the story of the red raggedy cat, and the memory brings tears to her eyes. The book slips from her hands as a sharp slap lands on her cheek. Her mother strikes her, sending her crashing to the floor. In rage, her mother blames Marie for Anastasia's death, shouting that it should have been her instead. She lashes out uncontrollably until their father arrives. He pulls her away, not to protect Marie, but to prevent any bruises from appearing on her face. Her father wants to send Marie to Count Granado for marriage in place of Anastasia. Though she is not as attractive, the family no longer has the resources, having sold off everything for the betrothal. Her father convinces her that this is the only way she can atone, but it does not make sense. She has committed no crime, yet somehow, simply by being born, she already feels like a mistake. Marie and her father travel together to see the Count, and while in the carriage, her father reminds her of everything she needs to do, insulting her from time to time. Marie simply agrees to everything he says. She tries to fake a smile, but even that gets mocked by her own father. Upon arriving at the castle, the guard refuses to let them in despite the letter they had sent. A maid steps in, explaining that the letter only arrived that morning, putting them in a difficult situation. Gregor, Marie's father, loses his temper and is about to attack the maid, but she is well equipped, pinning him to the ground in an instant and ordering him to leave. Just then, Marie steps out of the carriage, seeing the situation unfold. She asks for their forgiveness, and as she lowers her head, the veil covering her face slips off. The maid immediately recognizes her as Lady Marie and instructs Thomas, the guard, to send a message to the Count. Introducing herself as Mio, the maid leads Marie inside. Upon hearing that Anastasia's younger sister has been sent in her place, the Count becomes furious and initially demands Marie be turned away. But the moment he sees her face and recognizes her, his demeanor shifts. Marie is stunned to realize that the man she met at the banquet is actually Count Carlos Granado. Kiros, equally speechless, takes a long look at her. Gregor steps forward to explain Anastasia's death. Though Kiros appears saddened, his attention now lingers on Marie. As Gregor tries to speak ill of her, Kiros gives him a cold, warning glance. With a new calmness, he declares that Marie will stay at the palace for the night. Without delay, Mio prepares a room for her. Marie is left alone to enjoy a meal, with Mio attending to her. Curious about her father's whereabouts, she's informed that he is currently in a meeting with Kiros. As they chat, Mio prepares tea, which Marie quickly recognizes as a traditional blend from Ipsandros. She even names the correct spices, impressing Mio with her knowledge. One sip and Marie is immediately taken aback by the depth of its flavor, leaving Mio overwhelmed by her genuine appreciation. Their quiet conversation is soon interrupted when Kiros knocks at the door. Marie rushes to him, quickly bowing to apologize for her father's earlier conduct. When she asked about him, Kiros explains that her father has already departed, taking the betrothal gifts with him, to offer them at Anastasia's grave. Marie prepares to excuse herself, but Kiros stops her. He gently asks if she is being mistreated at home. The question stuns Marie. Though her parents never showed her affection, she doesn't see it as abuse. In her eyes, their harshness is simply training. Because she is a know-nothing, they want her to learn how to survive. However, her explanation does not make sense to Kiros. Thinking back to the banquet, he recalls that she was wearing clothing typically reserved for widows or nuns, on her birthday, no less. To him, this further confirms his suspicion that Marie is being mistreated. She never intended to become a nun, nor was she trying to push men away. When Kiros asks if she is unhappy with her family, Marie cannot respond. It's true that the life she's living is far from what she wants, but she has never considered escaping. She simply believes she is not lovely enough to deserve better. With that, Kiros gives Mio a command to take Marie away. Marie assumes this means she's being dismissed because of her appearance. But to her surprise, Mio greets her warmly, already prepared with a bath and fresh clothes. She escorts Marie to the bathhouse, where a large private tub awaits her. Marie is stunned, wondering how much work it takes to maintain such a luxurious space. She assumes she's been brought there to clean, but instead, Trunica, the bath's caretaker, arrives to pamper her. Mio informs Marie of Trunica's expertise in bathing rituals, and before she even realizes it, Trunica has already stripped her of her clothes. Mio even adds that if Trunica displeases her, she's free to slap her. Marie proceeds with the bath, submerging herself in warm water filled with flower petals while Trunica carefully tends to her hair. Trunica confidently assures that she will have Marie sparkling clean in no time, as if she's being reborn. Before long, Marie dozes off in the comfort of the bath. That night, once the beautification process is complete, Kiros waits for Marie to appear. When she finally steps out, she is nearly unrecognizable. As she walks down the grand staircase toward him, Kiros can't take his eyes off her transformation. Even Marie, catching a glimpse of her reflection, can hardly believe the woman in the mirror is her. Kiros freezes for a moment before calling out to Liu Liu, his mother. She steps forward and examines Marie carefully from head to toe. As the head of the family, Lulu's approval is crucial for the betrothal to proceed. The engagement depends heavily on her decision. After a meticulous inspection, Lulu comments that something is lacking. Kairos is ready to defend Marie when Lulu finishes her thought. What Marie lacks is self-confidence. If she wishes to become the wife of a duke, she must learn to carry herself with pride and nobility. But Lulu adds she can at least begin practicing before the wedding. Hearing this, Kairos is visibly relieved and overjoyed. Mio also congratulates Marie, who remains confused. Only then does she learn that Lulu's approval means the engagement is now official. Cheers fill the room as everyone celebrates their engagement. Lulu expresses excitement for the upcoming wedding, but Marie still stands frozen in place. Then finally, unable to hold it in any longer, Marie lets out a loud scream. She can't do it. One look at Marie and Kairos is speechless. It truly feels as if she's been reborn. While gazing at the stars and sipping his wine, Kairos can't help but recall how lovely she is. But Mieva soon pulls him back to reality. Marie has just rejected his marriage proposal. The memory hits like a blow and Kairos slumps onto the table in tears, unwilling to hear it again. Yet Mia reminds him it's her duty to deliver the truth, and adds that he proposed to the wrong sister that night. It's true, that evening was Marie's birthday, so no one would guess that the girl quietly sitting in the dark was the celebrant herself. Kairos' father, Count Alfred Granado, had 2 wives. As children, Kairos and another girl shared stories while voices echoed down the halls. The arguments came from the Count's wives. His official wife was Lady Laura, a noble daughter, while his concubine was Liu, an Ipsandrian traveler. She was Kairos' mother. One day, while chasing butterflies in the garden, young Kairos tripped and fell to his knees. He cried loudly until Lady Laura approached, offering him a piece of sweet pastry. With just one bite, Kairos brightened. Laura admitted she baked it herself. She teased him for trusting her so easily, but Kairos was too taken by the flavor to worry. When she asked what other sweets he liked, he eagerly listed his favorites. Laura, too, confessed her fondness for sweets, saying that making them helped her forget unpleasant things. Before leaving, she promised to bake chocolate cookies for him next time, and Kairos, with innocent joy, looked forward to it. One night in the palace, Count Alfred Granado summoned Liu and Kairos for a private meeting. Despite Lady Laura being his official wife, all of her children were daughters. That meant only Kairos, the son of his concubine Liu, could inherit the dukedom. Liu and Kairos were both stunned by the declaration, but the one most shaken was Lady Laura, who had been quietly eavesdropping outside the door. Then, one sorrowful night, a scream of grief echoed throughout the castle. Kairos rushed toward the sound, only to find all his sisters gathered around Lady Laura, who lay lifeless on the floor, a half-eaten cookie still in her hand. Beside the basket of sweets was a small vial of poison. The sight stunned Kairos. The woman who had shown him such kindness had chosen death of her own will. In the aftermath, Liu was offered the title of the official wife, but she refused. She chose to leave the duke, taking Kairos with her. Over the years, Kairos earned the title of count through his own merit. Yet he held no fondness for noble society. He avoided high-class gatherings, dismissed marriage proposals from noble daughters, and tore up any invitations that bore the names of old families. At last, Kairos made a rare appearance at one of the noble parties. Louis-Philippe, his friend, teased him for finally showing up, though Kairos reminded him that he only came because Louis-Philippe had personally invited him. As they chatted, Louis-Philippe casually handed him an invitation, this one from a rural baron. Apparently, the baron had sent one to every bachelor among the noble houses. The Shatterin family's financial struggles were well known. It was obvious to everyone that the so-called birthday celebration was merely a facade to showcase the baron's daughter for potential marriage. Kairos found the gesture distasteful, but still rumors claimed the baron's daughter was a rare beauty. Louis-Philippe, already engaged, had no plans of going. Kairos, however, though free to attend, chose not to. As he mulled it over, a blonde woman approached with a plate of sweets. He accepted one, and she quickly turned shy and retreated. Kairos knew he was a favorite among the ladies, but only because of his title and fortune. Beneath that, he knew that these ladies despised their heritage. Most noble daughters saw Ipsandros as a land of barbarians, and the whispers echoing through the grand halls only confirmed that. Though Louis-Philippe sympathized with him, he also reminded Kairos that he couldn't remain a bachelor forever. Without a wife, there would be no one to continue the duke's line. As Louis-Philippe departed, he remarked that he was eager to see the kind of woman who could finally move Kairos' heart, but Kairos doubted such a woman even existed. Still, Louis-Philippe's words lingered. Glancing at the invitation on the table once more, Kairos began to reconsider. Perhaps the daughter of a struggling household might be the practical answer. If it were to be a marriage of convenience, then he might as well choose someone easy to manage. Kairos had never believed he'd find love until that night. Marie's fascination with Ipsandrian culture had disarmed him completely. He had fallen for her, yet somehow he let her slip away. At the gathering, he spotted Baron Shatterin happily entertaining fellow noblemen. When Kairos inquired about the Baron's daughter, he was directed toward a blonde girl, the celebrated star of the night. The Baron had 2 daughters, he was told, the elder, Anastasia, and the younger, Marie. But tonight was Marie's birthday. If this girl in front of him was the center of attention, then the quiet girl he'd spoken with must have been Anastasia. With this, he rushed through the estate, searching every corridor, every garden, but no matter how far or fast he ran, she was nowhere to be found. With that, Kairos penned a formal letter requesting the hand of Baron Shadowrun's elder daughter, Anastasia. When he received a reply, he spared no expense preparing for her arrival. Jewels, dresses, maids, even a body pillow to cradle in his restless nights. He was eager, almost desperate, to offer his fiancée the best life. But then tragedy struck. News came that her carriage had fallen. His heart shattered. That's when the truth surfaced. The woman he met before, the one he mistook for Anastasia, was actually Marie, the younger daughter. Now back in the present, Mio is still trying to shake Kairos from his melancholy. He winces. He'd rather not hear it said aloud. But Mio doesn't let up. She reminds him how he turned his back on Marie when she arrived in her transformed appearance. Worse, on her very first day at the castle, he ordered her sent away. To Marie, Kairos must have seemed disgusted. No wonder she believes he wants nothing to do with her. Kairos hopes that clearing up the misunderstanding will help mend things, and Mio agrees. After all, he's the only one in love here. Together, they head to Marie's quarters, hoping to see her smile this time. Inside her room, Marie stares at her reflection, still stunned that her once tattered clothes and messy hair have transformed her into someone nearly unrecognizable overnight. Her thoughts scatter as a knock sounds at the door. When Mio and Kairos enter, Marie immediately lowers her head in apology. She admits she panicked at the sudden proposal and acted improperly, but Kairos can't understand why she feels the need to apologize. He firmly tells her to stop bowing. When she lifts her face, Kairos sees her clearly and blushes. Mio discreetly steps on his foot to snap him out of it. With a composed breath, Kairos addresses the misunderstanding. He assures Marie that he doesn't hate her, not at all. In fact, he believes she had come to the castle of her own will. Regardless of the confusion and the way things began, his feelings are sincere. He wants her to be his wife. To Kairos' surprise, Marie changes her answer immediately. She explains that the only reason she refused earlier was because she was shocked, so overwhelmed that she couldn't respond properly. She never intended to reject him and, in truth, understood the situation from the start. Marie is well aware of how these things work. She knows Kairos must find a noble woman to marry, and she assumes it must have been difficult. In her mind, the marriage was always one of convenience, and Kairos must have fallen for the beautiful Anastasia. But now, due to the accident, the burden falls on her instead. Marie, the useless younger sister. She accepts her place and even goes so far as to tell Kairos to treat her however he wishes. Kairos is stunned by her self-deprecation and tries to explain. While it's true that he originally sought a political match, his feelings changed. The letter he sent, though addressed to Anastasia, was written with sincerity. Marie nods, saying his feelings for Anastasia were clear, but that's exactly what led her to misunderstand everything. Kairos wants to explain further, but the bell rings, signaling that it's time for dinner, cutting their conversation short. At that exact moment, Marie's stomach lets out a loud rumble, breaking the tension. At the dining table, Marie takes one bite and is instantly surprised by the taste. The food is nothing like the humble meals she's used to. But before she can comment, Kairos sets down his utensils. He can't wait any longer and explains that the letter he sent wasn't addressed to Anastasia by intent. He simply had the names confused. The one he wanted to marry was Marie, the girl he met in the garden that night. Marie tries to respond politely, but Kairos can see that she doesn't believe him. She thinks he's just being careful not to hurt her feelings, and it frustrates him. Deep inside, Marie believes Kairos is only marrying her out of convenience. Sooner or later, she assumes he'll take a concubine, and she'll return to the same life she had before. Still, she doesn't mind. She's lived that way before. She can live it again. As they sit for tea, Kairos gently confesses that he loves her. Mary finds the notion absurd and remains silent. Her lack of response unsettles him, but he presses on. Regardless of how she feels now, their engagement will proceed. The ceremony is set in 3 months, and he promises to handle everything. Before Kairos can leave, Mary voices her wish to return home one last time before the betrothal. She explains that her father only expects her to serve as Kairos' comfort for a night and be cast aside after, not truly believing the engagement will push through. Mary wants to go home to hear whatever final instructions her family may have for her. This only frustrates Kairos further, so he tells her he'll need time to consider it. Not long after, Mio arrives with news. Marie is forbidden from returning home. If any member of her family wishes to visit, they must first seek Kairos' permission. Then Mio gently asks the question she's long held back. Why does Marie believe she is ugly? After a pause, Marie recalls how her parents always made sure she saw her tattered and raggedy reflection in the mirror. Sympathizing with her, Mio takes Marie's hands and urges her to face the mirror and see her true self. That night, alone in her room, Marie gazes at her reflection and recalls Mio's words. But deep down, she believes the real her is not someone she has ever truly seen. She sits at the edge of the bed, and her expression instantly changes as she sinks into its soft, luxurious fluff. Lying down, she stares at the ceiling with quiet wonder. Everything feels unreal: the palace, the fine clothes, the lady attendants, and the handsome count to whom she is now promised. It feels like a fleeting dream, one she fears will vanish the moment she wakes up. She tries to close her eyes, but the Count's words earlier do not let her sleep. Even if it is all just a dream, she wishes it would last a little longer. When morning comes, she instinctively prepares herself for her duties: light the stove, wake the household, begin the chores. But the glittering light greets her instead. Thinking she is still in a dream, she closes her eyes once more until Mio's voice calling from outside reminds her of reality. Mio enters Marie's room with two lady attendants. As the women bow to greet her, Marie instinctively bows even lower. Mio gently reminds her to be at ease. Now that she is officially the Count's fiancée, they will attend to her daily needs. Alongside Mio are Hannah and Lisa, who are ready to serve her from this day forward. Hannah and Lisa step forward to introduce themselves to Marie, while Mio explains that they will accompany her when Mio is unavailable. The situation still feels surreal to Marie. Having two attendants at her side is far beyond anything she's used to. Still, she grips the fabric of her skirt and bows gently to express her gratitude. The two attendants glance at each other, as if silently evaluating her behavior. Despite this, Marie softly asks where they are from. They explain that they both hail from the royal capital, having served within the palace and were recommended by the third prince himself. Something in their refined manner reminds Marie of her own parents. Fortunately, Mio calls her name, snapping her back to the present moment and gently asking if she's ready for breakfast. The moment Marie sits at the table, she's taken aback by the feast laid out before her. As Mio begins to explain each one, Marie quickly notices how many different kinds of animal meat are involved. They prepare in a wide variety just to see what she might prefer. Noticing her unease, Mio gently reassures her that she's free to leave anything she doesn't like and simply eat what appeals to her. With this, Marie offers to share her food with Mio, but she quickly declines, explaining that it's forbidden for attendants to eat with their master. Left with no choice, Marie begins taking a bite. To her surprise, everything tastes incredible, and before she realizes it, she's happily digging in. One by one, the plates begin to empty. Even as she starts to feel full, she continues eating. Mio gently urges her to stop if she's full, but Marie insists everything is too delicious to leave behind. Eventually, her stomach gives in, unable to take another bite. Mio quietly clears the table, and Marie can only feel sorry for the waste. Their next agenda is a tour around the palace, but before that, Mio brings Marie to a wardrobe for a change of clothes. As she opens the doors, Marie is stunned by the number of gowns and shoes inside. She jokes, saying she only has one body and could never wear them all. Mio explains that the wardrobe includes outfits for different seasons and occasions. Asked to choose one, Marie finds herself overwhelmed by the hundreds of options. In the end, Mio selects a soft yellow dress for her. As they walk, Mio shares a brief history of the estate. Granado's castle was originally built as a border to protect the kingdom. After the war, the family earned the title of duke and now governs their own lands. While they are connected to the royal family, they are not in the line of succession. The castle now serves mostly for special functions. Their next stop is the manor house where Marie will be residing. As they pass through a door, a beautifully landscaped yard greets her. Mio explains that the manor was built by Duchess Liu Liu herself. The first floor contains the kitchen, rooms for live-in staff, and private quarters reserved for the Duchess's family and important guests. While touring the house, they come across Thomas in the hallway. Marie quickly bows and apologizes for her father's behavior during their first encounter, but Thomas waves it off. They formally introduce themselves, and Marie immediately recognizes his name. It's the same as the legendary hero who discovered Luof Island. To her surprise, Thomas confirms it, saying he actually lives on the island. Before he gets too near, however, Mio swiftly flips him aside without hesitation. She firmly warns him not to touch the Duke's fiancée, leaving Thomas apologetic. As Marie looks around the manor, she wonders if Kiros does business with countries across the world. Mio explains that he mainly conducts trade within Ipsandros. She asks this because she assumes that the various folk crafts scattered around the house belong to Kiros, but Mio clarifies they are owned by the servants, many of whom come from different regions. According to Mio, Kiros hires people regardless of their background. This is why the staff is so loyal to him. Curious, Marie assumes Mio is from the royal capital as well, but Mio reveals she was actually abandoned as a child and found by the roadside. Marie expresses regret, but Mio gently brushes it off. She insists there's no need to feel sorry. Her life has been fulfilling. Mio explains that many of the people in the manor come from diverse backgrounds, unlike Hannah and Lisa, who are accustomed to noble duties and are better suited to serve as Mari's personal attendants. Still, Mari finds herself more interested in hearing stories from different lands. She keeps this thought to herself and instead thanks Mio sincerely. That evening, Lisa brings Mari her after-dinner tea. Out of habit, Mari asks for some milk to add, but both Lisa and Hannah gently insist that it would ruin the tea's intended flavor. Though their words are polite, Mari senses the disapproval behind them. Feeling slightly uneasy, she sets her preference aside and drinks the tea as it is. Later, as she drifts to sleep, her thoughts wander to Kairos. She wonders if he's still busy. True enough, in a different land, Kairos rides in his carriage, also thinking of Mari. Just as he loses himself in thought, his coachman reminds him of tomorrow's packed schedule. With a sigh, Kairos wonders when he'll finally be able to return home. A few days pass, and Mari enjoys another hearty breakfast. As she bites into the crisp, juicy vegetables, she asks Mio where they get such fresh produce. To her surprise, Mio reveals that the vegetables are grown right in their own courtyard garden. Intrigued, Mari expresses her interest in visiting the garden. However, since Mio will be busy preparing for the Duke's return, she suggests that Mari go with Hannah and Lisa instead. Though hesitant at first, Mari sees this as a chance to get to know the two better. Later that day, Mari makes her way to the vegetable garden, where she happens to meet the gardener, Johan. Curious, she asks about his planting methods, and Johan cheerfully answers each question. Seeing her enthusiasm, he asks if she gardens too. Mari confirms she used to grow and sell vegetables back home to help her family survive. She admits, however, that tomatoes were difficult for her to grow. Impressed by Johan's success with them, she asks how he do it. With this, Johan invites her to come with him. As she starts to follow Johan, Mari hears Hannah and Lisa whispering behind her, their eyes on her steps through the bare dirt. She's certain they're ridiculing her, mocking how she behaves. Maybe she deserves it, she thinks, but Mr. Johan certainly doesn't. She hesitates, glancing down at her shoes, elegant and new, a gift from the Count. The thought of soiling them holds her back. That night, Mari lies in bed, unable to sleep. Restless, she decides to take a quiet walk around the palace. As she passes by the dining hall, she notices the lights still on. Curious, she peeks through the door and is surprised to see Kairos inside. He's just arrived, having missed dinner, and is about to eat. Spotting her, he pulls out a chair and invites her to join him. They begin a gentle conversation about her stay so far, but it's soon interrupted by Mio. Behind her is a shy figure trying to stay hidden. Tapo, the palace chef. As he nervously presents the dish, a warm chicken soup, Mari's face brightens. Kairos requests that Tapo prepare a serving for her as well. With just one bite, Mari instantly praises the soup, adding that all the meals in the palace have been incredibly delicious. To her surprise, Tapo suddenly breaks down, insisting there's no need for flattery, and after all, she never finishes her food no matter how hard he tries. Kairos asks Mio if it's true that Mari dislikes their meals, but Mio calmly replies that Mari tends to give vague answers. Flustered, Mari quickly clarifies that it's not because of the taste that she doesn't finish her food. She simply gets full and in fact feels guilty about the wasted ingredients as well. Upon hearing this, Tapo becomes even more emotional and deeply moved that she actually enjoys his cooking. Mio, unfazed, quietly announces she'll prepare tea for their after-dinner drink. Kairos reassures Mari, saying Tapo is just a little too quick to cry. Wanting to make it up to her, he decides to whip up a special dessert just for them. After a few moments, Tapo returns with the apple pie he prepared. Mari thinks that perhaps the reason he gets upset when people don't finish their food is because he assumes everyone eats like him. So she and Kairos invite him to join them. In the end, their plates are sparkling clean. Tapo ends up eating half the pie himself before happily excusing himself for the night. Left alone, Kairos gently apologizes for placing Mari in a situation where she has to prioritize others, then asks if there's anything else she finds difficult. Though Mari denies it, Kairos brings up Hannah and Lisa. Mari hesitates but insists they take good care of her. Kairos, however, sees through her words. As the future Duchess, he believes she deserves attendants who are truly suited for her. He tells her she doesn't need to pretend to be happy with things that clearly displease her. Instead, he encourages her to be honest and voice any discomfort she may feel. However, the reason Mari never expresses preferences is because she's grown used to simply accepting what's given to her. For her, that's always been enough. She doesn't want to squander the Count's kindness by asking for more. But Kairos gently promises to give her anything she wants. Those simple words break something inside her. Their quiet moment is soon interrupted by Mio, who arrives with their tea along with a very high pile of what looks like mashed potatoes. They assume it's for them, but Mio promptly takes it with her. It's her midnight snack. 2 small kettles sit stacked on a burner in front of them. Kairos explains it's called a chaden leek, used for making traditional Ipsandros tea. The fire heats both kettles. Once boiling, hot water is poured over the leaves and the pot is placed back on top. After a while, the strong tea is poured into cups and diluted with more hot water from the bottom pot, adjusted to taste. While waiting for the tea to boil, Karos asks Mari to tell him something about herself, but she has nothing to share. Her mind feels empty, but she recalls playing word chains with her sister when they were young, and that's the only thing she can say. Karos suggests they change the rules slightly. Instead of random words, they'll only say things they like. Karos begins the game with the word Mari, but Mari insists they start with A, so he changes it to apple pie. With the word ending in E, Mari responds with exciting Ipsandrian stories, a phrase that catches Kira's attention. It's the same thing she said when they first met. They continue the game, taking turns naming things they like. Kiros keeps mentioning sweets, while Mari lists agricultural goods, practical and common in their economy. But when it's her turn with the letter K, she instinctively says Karos, then quickly denies it, claiming she meant kiss. Karos seems to see through the slip, but he lets it go with a knowing smile and continues the game, occasionally teasing her by saying her name, making Mari blush. Eventually, Mio enters and notices them still playing. Only then do they realize the flame has long died out and the tea leaves are burnt already. They try to drink it anyway, but it's unbearable. Kiros orders Mio to mask the taste with milk and sugar, but she dryly replies that the two of them already have enough sweetness, leaving both Karos and Mari flustered in silence. When Mari is about to drift off to sleep, her thoughts hold her back. Memories resurface, how she became a mere replacement for her sister's betrothal, how Hannah and Lisa treated her so harshly. And yet Karos shows genuine interest in knowing her. Meanwhile, in his quarters, Karos lies on his bed, hugging his pillow as his mind lingers on Mari. Just then, Mio enters quietly, catching him in the act. Startled, Karos quickly composes himself, but Mio simply asks how he feels after days of not seeing Mari. Surprisingly, the Count simply answers that he loves Mari and finds her truly beautiful, which only frustrates Mio. She recalls how, 5 days ago, he ordered her to give Mari the utmost hospitality and everything she deserves. Karos believes Mari was not treated kindly in her own home. He wants to surround her with every luxury possible. However, no matter how much he offers, Mari continues to avoid these comforts. This is when Mio shares her own experiences. Though abandoned as a child, she was fortunate to be cared for by Liu Liu. Over time, she rose to become the head chamberlain of Granova's castle, a position far above her station. For this, she expresses her deep gratitude to Karos, acknowledging that his generosity shaped her life. Karos feels confused about Mio's point, but she explains that she can relate to Mari. Coming from a life of oppression and suddenly stepping into nobility is overwhelming. Mio believes Mari is still uncertain about everything, just as she once was. Back then, she feared it would all disappear one day too. Karos firmly assures her that nothing will vanish. Mari is perfect as she is, just as Mio fulfills her role as head chamberlain, and Liu Liu treats her like a daughter. His reassurance stuns Mio, prompting her to praise him for continuing to appreciate such things. However, Karos' tone shifts as he mentions his upcoming business trip the next day. He asks Mio to use her discretion to ensure Mari's comfort. Even during Mio's serious moments, Karos breaks the tension by gushing over Mari. He lists countless compliments while hugging his pillow and rolling back and forth on the bed. Mio bids Karos goodbye, closing his bedroom door, but her mind is already fixed on her new priority. She finally has permission to act regarding personnel. The next day, Mari is served a meal, smaller than usual but perfectly portioned. To her relief, she finishes everything without difficulty, leaving her feeling satisfied. As she enjoys her tea, Mio joins her and Mari's heart lifts. She has long wished to share such a moment with her. It is then that Mari realizes that if Mio is here, Karos must have already left. However, Mio calmly explains that Hannah and Lisa have been assigned to attend to the master, allowing Mio to focus on Mari. As her thoughts drift, Tapo enters, carrying a tray. He presents a delicate white pudding made from almond and fresh milk, offering Mio a plate as well. They take their first bites together, and both freeze in astonishment. Tapo cheerfully announces he will make more pudding for the entire kingdom, but Mari quickly stops him, suggesting Hannah and Lisa might not like milk. This catches Mio's attention, and she calmly asks why Mari thinks so. Mari innocently recounts a story of when she once requested milk for her tea, only to be denied by Hannah and Lisa. As Mio listens, her expression gradually hardens. Mio and Mari stroll down the hallway, chatting casually when Thomas approaches carrying a box addressed to Mari from the Shatterin household. Hearing this, Mio immediately scolds him, reminding him that all deliveries should be inspected first. Flustered, Thomas drops the box, spilling its contents across the floor. Mio questions why it wasn't brought to her beforehand, but Thomas explains that Hannah and Lisa had already inspected it. Among the scattered items, Mari notices a letter from her mother and belongings from her past life, things meant for her, assuming she would only ever serve in the Count's court. Realization dawns on Mio. Hannah and Lisa intended to humiliate Mari. Enraged, she storms toward the sound of mocking laughter echoing nearby. As Thomas fumbles to apologize, Mari kneels quietly, collecting torn pages of her cherished story, Red Raggedy Cat, hoping to piece it back together. Moments later, Mio storms back into the room, holding both Hannah and Lisa before tossing them onto the floor without hesitation. Infuriated, the two sneer at her, mocking her status as just a maid. They bragged arrogantly about serving the prince in the palace and being recommended by Prince Louis himself. Despite Mio holding the title of Granado's head chamberlain, their insults persist, turning fiercer as they target Mari, calling her a barbarian, while ridiculing Mio as an abandoned child. Their words push Mio past her breaking point. With a sharp glare, Mio declares them as stupid. Hannah lunges at her in rage, but Mio effortlessly counters with a swift flip that slams her to the ground. Without missing a beat, she pivots toward Lisa, executing the same move. Thomas apologizes once more for the trouble, but Mari brushes it off. She requests thread and scissors, determined to mend it herself. Later that day, Mari visits Johann in the garden, now wearing a more suitable dress for gardening. Johann, unbothered, happily agrees to let her join him. Together, they begin working, and Mari kneels to plant seedlings with care. As she does so, memories surface. She used to do this for her family. Yet, unlike before, it doesn't feel like hard labor at all. Instead, it feels like doing something she truly loves, growing vegetables. As they continue working, Johann apologizes for avoiding her during their first meeting. He explains that he didn't want to cause her trouble, being just a servant, and more than that, a foreigner. But Mari dismisses his concerns, assuring him that she doesn't care about such things. To her, everyone in the castle feels like family. He then recalls how Count Karos often speaks the same way. While Mari and Johann are tending the garden, Thomas arrives to inform Mari that Karos is about to leave. Startled, she rushes over to bid him farewell, only to find him looking tired, clearly from spending the night thinking about her. As they exchange a few words, Mio speaks as well, advising Karos to return Hannah and Lisa to the palace. This infuriates the two, who immediately protest, boasting about being personally recommended and even claiming Prince Louis hinted they could become Karos' concubines and blames Mari for their failure. They hurl insult after insult, calling her nothing but a dead woman's replacement, and even branding Karos a laughingstock for staying with her. The final straw comes when they call Mari ugly. At that moment, Karos intervenes, his voice sharp with anger. He berates the two harshly, declaring they lack even a single quality that could make him love them, unlike Mari. His words humiliate them completely. Without hesitation, Karos orders that Hannah and Lisa be removed at once. When Hannah and Lisa are finally taken away, Mari and Karos are left in the garden, sharing a quiet moment together. Karos bends down, picks a delicate flower, and gently tucks it behind Mari's ear. His gaze lingers as he softly compliments her beauty one by one. Her radiant red hair, her bright eyes, her knowledge, her curiosity, and even her warm smile. To him, everything about her is captivating. Caught up in the moment, Karos slowly leans closer as if to kiss her. But before their lips meet, Mio interrupts, reminding him of the time. They almost forgot she was still there. From a distance, they notice Tunica and Johann watching, both amused by what they just witnessed. That same day, Karos leaves in a carriage for the royal palace. He will be away for 10 days, and once he returns, the preparations for their betrothal will begin. As Mari watches him disappear from sight, an uneasy feeling lingers in her heart, even with Karos' earlier reassurance. That night, Mari receives a letter, an invitation from Prince Louis himself. However, as she reads it, the tone feels less like an invitation and more like a warning. The letter states that she is invited to a special event at the royal palace and emphasizes how all preparations have already been made in anticipation of her presence. If she refuses, the prince warns that everything will be wasted and even hints that people may hold a grudge lasting generations. The sender is none other than Prince Louis, the third prince of the kingdom and captain of the Royal Knights. Known for his open-hearted personality, the suddenness of this letter is unsettling. The fact that it arrives on the eve of the event makes it clear her attendance is a must. Feeling pressured, Mari reluctantly decides to attend. By morning, a royal chariot from the prince arrives at the Granado's castle to escort her to the palace. Mari steps inside and is immediately struck by the carriage's lavish interior. With uncertainty, the carriage sets off toward the royal palace. The carriage travels until Mari finally reaches her destination. Upon arrival, Mio immediately begins explaining everything. The kingdom of Dilts is known as the stronghold of the royal knights. She wonders why she was invited, and Mio speculates it could be because Prince Louis himself recommended Hannah and Lisa As they walk, Mio describes the prince's eccentric nature. Despite his odd sense of humor, Mio assures her he is not a bad person. They tour the lively streets where laughter and music fill the air. It has been 50 years since the war, and the kingdom thrives in peace, bustling with joy and entertainment. While sharing this story, Mio hands Mari a local street food, which she accepts willingly. Scanning the lively festival, Mio notices that Prince Luifan is nowhere in sight, leaving Mari to wonder if she should simply enjoy the festivities and slip away. Mio, however, refuses to believe it's that simple. She warns that Luifan is notoriously unpredictable, though Mari suspects Mio is just being too harsh about the prince. Just then, Mio spots someone in the distance. It's Prince Luifan. Mari panics instantly as she searches the crowd for a glimpse of him. Mio decides to approach him quickly, but before moving, she turns to Mari with a firm warning. Luifan might be just doing his tricks to lure them. She orders Mari to stay in her place and not wander under any circumstances. Everything Mio said leaves Mari terrified, so she vows not to move an inch. But then, a vendor calls out to her, and her eyes catch a flyer that reads, "Apple Peeling Contest." Instantly intrigued, she walks over and tells the vendor she wants to participate. The vendor, surprised, remarks that nobles usually never even touch a knife. His comment echoes Hannah and Lisa's cruel words in her mind, so she fears this will only make Kira's a laughingstock, just like they claimed. However, the vendor doesn't budge and proudly presents her an apple, boasting it carries the knight's stamp of approval. With this, Mari decides to take a challenge. But just as the timer is about to start, someone snatches the apple from her hands. It's Prince Luifan. With a teasing grin, he toys with her apple, refusing to return it. Mari demands it back, but Luifan only takes a bold bite, smirking as her face flushes with anger and frustration. The vendor jokingly scolds the man, but when he addresses him as Highness, Mari freezes. Only then does she realize it's Prince Luifan. At that moment, Mio arrives, running, confirming what she suspected all along. Luifan was simply pulling one of his tricks. With his trick exposed, Luifan finally offers a proper introduction, presenting himself not only as a prince, but more importantly, as Kira's friend. In that instant, Mari understands the kind of person he truly is.